Well, good morning, everyone. Once again, how are you? Hope you're having a good start to your day. We'll wait till a few people come on with us before we get started with Question and Answer Friday. One of our favorite days. You guys know that. So let's say hello. Brahim. No, it's Michael. Brahim, you're number 2. Kathy, right up at the top. John, how are you? And let's see, who's in that top group there? Andrea, there you are from Niagara Falls. Beverly, good morning to you. And Sandy, nice to have you on with us. And Donna from Park Hill. And Rosa from Montreal. Nellie, how are you? And Madeleine from Kippawa, Quebec. Bonjour. Kevin, Oshawa, Fran, Orangeville, and Nick from our staff, Grace, Newfoundland, Francis Marie, good morning, Madalena from Laval, Janice, Brampton, Frida from Devlin, Maryland, Kelowna, and Dave, Muskoka, Yvonne from Petawawa, and Maria from Ottawa. Bev, how are you from Saskatchewan? Sharon, Kansas. Donna, good morning. Love those Donnas. Rosalinda, how are you? And who is that from Peterborough? Karen. Nancy, Iowa. Lorraine, British Columbia, good morning to you. And Nina from Chatham. And Cynthia, right in our backyard in Chelmsford. Sue, Bolton, Kim, Dowling, Kevin, I already said hello to you, Kev. Wanda, Ridgeway, and Rita, good morning. Couple more guys. Sarah, and who is that from? I'm going to say Millica from Stouffville, but I didn't see it. Rolly, England. And who is that? Francis from Vaughan. And Lorraine, how are you? Judy, New Brunswick, how are you? Judy from Port Perry. Nan, how are you? Wynn from Alberta. Nicole from Sudbury. Nan is from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Cecilia. Maureen from Penticton, British Columbia. Susan the Clouds. David Helga from Scarborough. And who is that from Lakefield? I couldn't see it. Verna, Utah. How are you, Utah? Cape Breton, good morning. And whoever that was, Maryland. Sometimes it goes up, guys. I can't see it. Gloria in the clouds. Maryland from Nova Scotia. Hi, Rebecca from Callender. Linda, I missed you too, Linda? Who is that from West Tennessee? Nina, good morning. And Nicole from Magog, Quebec, Janine. And Suzanne and Danielle, bonjour. Judy, Mitchell, and Monica. Nice to have you on. And the name goes up, but I can't see it. John, Mexico, hola. Okay, Sue, Shirley. Okay, from Newfoundland. Guys, you know, if I miss you, don't take it personally because it's the way that scroll goes. And if it gets up into my top end of my microscope there behind me, or behind me over here, I miss it. But it's not because I don't want to say hello. You guys know that. Okay? Love you dearly. Okay, let's get to the questions. The first question comes from Rita. What can one do about shingles on the face? No fun. Now, guys, you know what shingles is, right? It's the herpes virus. You get chicken pox as a kid, you got the herpes virus. And ordinarily what happens, your body keeps it dormant. If your immune system is good, that virus is there, stays dormant, who cares? Some people get, herpes, like shingles is herpes zoster, right? You can get cold sores. That's the shingles virus. But it usually only comes out in a perfect storm. So shingles, when you get it in the face, terrible. Okay? Terrible. No fun. Like shingles is so painful, hits that nerve, that virus goes along the nerve. And if it gets into the face, it usually gets into the trigeminal nerve and the facial nerves. Oh boy, no fun. So let me just say, okay, what do you do if you have it? Well, look, I would put everything on your side to put that baby back to bed. Okay? Put everything on your side. Personally, I would get, in my practice, I had patients taking high doses of vitamin D for a few days. I even had them on vitamin A, about 10,000 IUs a day, because the virus was active. You want to put it back to bed. Bone broth, one of the best things. Why? Because it's got a lot of lysine and a lot of amino acids. That's very, very good. So either make yourself a bone broth or we'll make it for you. How's that? And I really like that, making shakes with bone broth. And so high vitamin D, I would put them vitamin A, even with some zinc. If you get the blood boost, okay, I love our blood boost, okay, now it's called multi-nutrient, okay, tremendous. Why? Zinc, vitamin A, it's tremendous. It's got all the B vitamins and it's so good for you, okay, just builds your immune system up, builds your blood up. And those are the things that I would do. Rita, okay? Now, Lynn, for neuropathy. Okay, neuropathy. Is it diabetic neuropathy? And foot ulcers? Usually is, okay? So at the end of the day, if I could take one supplement, Lynn says, what would I take? Well, here's what I usually gave for neuropathy, okay? I usually gave, in the office, I would give them B12, okay? Nerve. Whenever you think of nerves, B12, okay? So for neuropathy, B12. And the other one, I combined the two of them together with great effectiveness, was Navitol. Navitol and B12 together. So you're asking for a one, what would I do? Good question. If you only were to take one, well, I would try and find out, Lynn, I got to ask you another question, okay? If you can, and maybe you have this already, what are your B12 levels? If your B12 is, 800 or above, well, then I would choose Navitol. If your B12 is under 800, I would choose B12. But if you're asking, I would do both. Okay. I know you want to just give me one, but I treated a lot of neuropathy over the years. Lots and lots and lots of times. Usually diabetic neuropathy, but not always. And those are the things that I would use. Okay, Trudy. That was Lynn. Trudy, would you have an opinion? I always have an opinion. Trudy. I'm very opinionated. Okay? And you're asking. So here's my opinion. Okay, here's the question first, guys. Trudy, Would you have an opinion on why my daughter has excess mucus, spits it up, no sinus infection, and feels it comes from her nose? Well, she has a sinus infection because she's getting postnasal drip. Now, it's not an infection in a sense that, she may be getting a lot of sinus pain or whatever. But I can tell you she has an infection of yeast, fungus, candida, leaky gut, leaky sinuses. I promise you. And she's getting postnasal drip. And that's why she's coughing it up and spitting it up. And it's coming because the sinuses your body's smart. They're just trying to drain it. So she has a low grade infection. She does have an infection, but it's low grade. And I can almost guarantee you it's yeast. You see, and I mentioned this to someone yesterday. Oh, it was Tony Jr. and I talking. And, when women get recurring bladder, well, what is it? It's fungus. It's yeast. It's not the bacteria. Yeah, there may be a bacteria involved, but that's secondary to the underlying yeast that's there. It's a fungus. Do you know what's happening a lot today? And I read an article that they're finally acknowledging it. You're getting all these people with pneumonia. And it's almost like it's resistant to antibiotics. Then there's underlying under there, usually in the lungs. Think of yeast as mold. Okay? Because it's a cousin. They're cousins. Mold and yeast are cousins. Okay? So mold, where does it go in your house? Bathrooms, showers, basement, leaky, you get water in your house or whatever in the basement or whatever. You got mold, right? Moisture. Yeast is a cousin. They're first cousins. Okay? And yeast loves sinuses. Yeast loves your lungs. Why? Moisture. Yeast loves the bladder. Moist. Okay? And doctors, God love them, they wouldn't know yeast if it slapped them in the face. They just can't. They're so focused in. Doctors are trained. Viruses, bacteria. Viruses, bacteria. Not fungus. Not mold. Like mold, mold, it doesn't bother them unless it happens to them. And you have no idea. See, guys, I got to tell you something. Okay? I got to tell you something. Unless you haven't figured it out about me. The world out there worries about the climate. I worry about the environment. Much more than the climate. Okay? I look outside here and it's winter. We got a lot of snow and it's cold. Yeah, that's the climate. It'll change. But environment, and one of the things that I specialized in my office was mold. People that got infected by mold, and they always had trouble with their lungs. And, I said, well, you have an underlying condition there. You have fungus in there. You have candida in there. You have a yeast infection. 'Cause when you think of yeast infection, women go, yeah, I know what that is. Well, where did it happen, ladies? In the privates. Moisture. Men hardly get it. But they do get it. It's in a different place. Guys, I'm telling you. That's why I'm so concerned about the environment. And I can almost tell you what happened to your, hold on, is it daughter or granddaughter? I gotta read the question a minute. Come on back up here. Trudy, on her daughter. Okay? Trudy, I can guarantee you, almost guarantee, without knowing you, without knowing your daughter, she took an antibiotic and she developed a secondary fungal or yeast infection. And it happened to hit into her sinuses. And now she has postnasal drip. Okay? So, look out for that. Now, some people, okay, they get postnasal drip because them and dairy don't get along. But even if they don't get along with dairy, it's because they got leaky gut. They've got a leaky gut. And there's stuff coming into their bloodstream that shouldn't be there through leaky gut. This is why antibiotics are the greatest discovery of the 20th century and the curse of the 21st. Because they're a double-edged sword. Yeah, they kill your infection. Antibiotics, wonderful. But they create another infection, a yeast, a fungus. And that can go anywhere. It can go on your skin. I've never seen a case of eczema or psoriasis, even dermatitis, that doesn't have a connection to fungus getting into the bloodstream. And doctors poo-poo it. Oh, you get fungus, you're gonna die if it gets into your blood. No, you won't die. Or you could die. But they're not trained. They're trained on bacteria. They're trained on viruses. Not on candida, not on fungus, not on black mold. They dismiss it usually. Okay, I'm telling you, it's one of the biggest problems, even in the hospitals today. It's the overuse of antibiotics, giving out of fungus. It's fluid, but they don't analyze it. Aim at the gut. Get that child on probiotics, especially with the L. reuteri and L. rhamnosus. Okay? The reuteri and L. rhamnosus. And that's in our formula in the immune boosting part of our formula of probiotics, because that kills yeast, fungus. And then Oil of oregano. Okay? Oil of oregano. Now, children at 4 years old, not easy to give it to them because you gotta, pray after you take it. It's so strong. But it kills yeast. See, what's so good about oil of oregano, guys? Okay? Why do I always come back to the same things all the time? Because they work. You put oil of oregano in a petri dish besides a bacteria, and it is nature's most powerful antibiotic. But not only that, it's nature's most powerful antifungal. What? In the same drop. It's why we put oil of oregano in our digestive enzymes. Why did I do that? Why did Tony Jr., who's the brains behind the operation, why do we do it? Well, oil of oregano, it kills SIBO because it's not SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. It's SIFO, small intestine fungal overgrowth. Oil of oregano kills fungus. So somehow, some way, get your grandson on probiotics. If you have to open up the capsule and put it in a shake, any way you can do it. Because I'm telling you. And look, guys, I mean this, okay? And I'm going to toot our horn. Most probiotics, especially if they're dairy-based, they're not near as potent as soil-based probiotics. Those bacteria, and when you get a real good probiotic, goes right past your stomach into the small intestine where it belongs. And then those bacteria go everywhere to help you out. Okay. I got excited for a minute here. That was Gwen. Thank you, Gwen. If I'd have known grandchildren that much fun, we'd have had them first. Okay. Love questions about grandchildren. Bev, I'm wondering about organic Ceylon cinnamon. Well, I love cinnamon. Okay? I love cinnamon, Bev. Okay? I do. It's good for you. Good for your blood sugar. And even though it's spice, and some people find it really a nice sweet taste, it's actually good for blood sugar. I like it. Okay? And we have it in our insulin balance. Okay. And she's putting it in her coffee after her chocolate bone broth. Well, you're a smart girl. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Beth? Okay. Liz, do you believe in Lyme's disease? You mean there's doctors that don't? She says in BC, they don't believe in such a thing. Well, you see, doctors sometimes don't believe there's anything new under the sun. Okay? That's why it takes doctors years and years and years even to tell you to take a probiotic. Okay? At 40 years ago, I was telling doctors, if they would listen, probiotics are really good for you. You know that? They're good for your patients. You should tell them, especially if they're taking antibiotics. And they would look at me like I had two heads. And now, finally, most physicians, not all, but most would say, oh yeah, probiotics are good for you. They'll say that. Okay? I talked to physicians 40 years ago about omega-3. How good it was for you. And they got the memo, but we can't tell everybody because, our college might come after us because it hasn't been approved by the FDA. Or I said, do you take omega-3? Oh, yeah. I said, well, you're a hypocrite if you don't tell your patients to take it. Anyway, why did I even talk about that? Okay. Because Liz is asking if I believe in Lyme's disease. Yeah, 100%, Liz. I saw it, I'm going to say 300 or 400 times in my office. Remember, Liz, okay? I was integrative. And people came to me. You can see behind me there are books written on chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and in there, I talk about what is behind chronic fatigue. Well, I always talked about adrenal exhaustion and Lyme's disease, okay, is real. For sure it's real. But at the end of the day, what do you do about it? How do you fix it? And I had a protocol for Lyme's. It was very similar to what I did with patients who came from all over the world to see me on chronic fatigue syndrome. And they fell through the cracks because doctors, if you weren't dying, in between your ears. You know how many times I heard that? Patients would come in and they go, my doctor thinks I'm crazy. Well, they think I'm crazy too. So let's be in the crazy club together, okay? But I said, I ain't gonna guess. Let's test. And let's find out what you got going. And if you got Lyme's, because some people get that tick and they never get sick. But I always said Lyme's or chronic fatigue syndrome, I put them in the same category in a way. When you get Lyme's, it's a perfect storm. Okay? Usually, not always, there's exceptions, but usually it was a perfect storm. You got a tick, but your immune system was compromised already. Due to usually stress, okay? Lots of stress. So cortisol is rampant. Well, I got a one here, okay? Lady's going here, asking about something. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh, tests. How do you get rid of extra androgens like DHEA? Not DHA. That's omega-3. DHEA is a secretion from your adrenal glands. Adrenal on top of kidneys. And I never worried about DHEA too much. I worried more about cortisol. So tests, if you go through and look at symptoms of high cortisol, and you could have adrenals or adrenal. Look, adrenals will fire like over a period of time. But if you do that for a long period of time, they'll get exhausted. And that will just deplete your energy. And, you can get a lot of symptoms with that, including poor sleep and all that. Take a cortisol questionnaire test and see if you have any of those symptoms. Because just having high DHEA doesn't mean much to me unless it's surrounded by symptoms. Now, let me get back to the question that Liz has. Okay? Liz is asking, okay, do I believe in limes? 100%. What do you do about it? Well, here's what I usually found with limes. Usually. They were low. Well, first of all, they had leaky gut almost invariably. They had garbage in their bloodstream, including fungus. Usually. And their immune system wasn't working properly. So they were low on vitamin D, usually. Usually, okay, not always, again, they had insulin resistance, because I used to test them for that. And if they have insulin resistance, often they were carboholics, and they weren't getting enough vitamins, and they weren't getting enough minerals, and they were low in B12, almost invariably. Okay? And again, like I said, they had high levels of cortisol that was draining them. And so I had to fix all of the above. Oftentimes their thyroid was slowed to a crawl. In women, I often saw that they had excess estrogen along with the limes. So at the end of the day, my analysis would sort of dictate my treatment plan. But I had a real good protocol for Lyme's disease. Okay, to kill the bacteria, probiotics, to oil of oregano. Like I said, vitamin D, getting that immune system up. Cut the sugar out. Why? Sugar destroys your immune system. It puts your T cells, your Navy SEALs of your white blood cells. Sugar will put them into a deep sleep, a siesta. You don't want that, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Bev, Liz, you bet your boots I believe it. And is it in her brain? Sure. Could cross the blood-brain barrier. But again, you got to do all of the above. Okay? Thank you. Robert, GlycoCare. I saw this product online. I had to look it up because I had a good idea. It was out there to balance your blood sugar. Is it something would help me to get off my high blood pressure meds? Well, I'll tell you what, Robert. This is me, and I got to tell you my experience because I don't have any experience with GlycoCare. Okay? I looked at their formula. It's all right. I'll tell you what I like better. For blood pressure, Navitol. I like that better. I like, the reset for your blood pressure. A lot of people find when Robert, I don't know your situation, but, like sugar, I explained this week on how it affects cardiovascular and how it elevates your blood pressure. One of the things is uric acid because it decreases your nitric oxide. That's why I love Navitol, because it elevates your nitric oxide. And I would find, for me, that is the best thing for your blood pressure along with your diet. Okay? Get off the sugars. Get off those crappy carbs. But anyway, thank you, Robert. Ashley, I am low in ferritin, and I'm taking Dr. Martin's blood boost. You're a smart girl. And heme iron. But I heard that iron feeds viruses, bacteria, and candida. Well, you heard wrong. Okay? Like, I guess if you had excess iron in your body, in a condition called hemochromatosis, I guess that's possible. But the vast majority of women, they never have to deal with high iron. As a matter of fact, they have lower levels of iron because they don't eat enough red meat. Okay? And I like, and look, if you're going to take iron, I really like the iron that we use. It's so in our blood boost, now called multi-nutrient, because it's a biglycinate. It's broken down for you already. That iron goes right into your body, but it doesn't feed. Like that. Gee, I hate that sometimes. I love the internet. I love when you can Google stuff. I mean it. I want people I love when they're interested in their health. And that's why I'm so happy that we have, Ashley, we have a question and answer, so you can ask the question, because that's fake news about iron. You need iron. Now, like I said, you don't want over problem of iron. That's usually in men, not women. Okay? Because they got too much insulin and fatty liver. Okay, let me see. Can we take a few more here? I'm going to have to, I think we're almost done. We're almost done. Rita. Oh no, Carol, share your thoughts on children with acid reflux? Well, look, they can get acid reflux. They don't have enough acidity in their stomach. I'd get them to take a little tables. How do you do it with a child? Apple cider vinegar really helps. I know they want to suppress that acidity, but it's because they don't have enough acidity that their proton pumps are pumping up more, okay? I went through that this week again, okay? Talk about that and why that is, okay? And usually, and it could be, now babies can get acid reflux, and, it's, I find if they're breastfeeding, mommy take the probiotic. Otherwise, open up a probiotic and in the powder and get it to them. Watch what it does for acid reflux. It is so good. Okay? Because sometimes they're fighting the bacteria there in their tum-tum. Okay. Oh yeah, let me just here. Let's see. We're almost done here. Okay. Somebody asking about, didn't he want to give the name? Okay, what does Dr. Martin think of andropause for men? It can happen. Andropause, you know what andropause in men is? They got too much estrogen, not enough testosterone. They got more estrogen than their wives. I saw that 1,000 times in my office. And they need to get their testosterone up. They weren't eating enough steak. They were consuming too much sugar, and they need to get to the gym and get strong. Okay. And there's a mushroom named Shilajit. Yeah, I know that. To elevate testosterone. I like elevating testosterone. You know what the best thing to elevate your testosterone is? The sun and vitamin D. The best. I take vitamin D, even B12. Very good. Okay, I answered Tessa's question. Caroline is asking about spider veins. Why? Okay. Why? You're a woman. Men can get spider veins too, but not near as often as women, right? And venous insufficiency. I like Navitol. Try that. Opens up the nitric oxide. And why do you get it? Well, pregnancy, being a woman, that can do it. Okay, I think I only got one more. Rita, can someone have both Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism of the thyroid at the same time? With Graves and they're both autoimmune, and I've seen them where they're so out of whack they got both. I've seen it, Rita. And again, those people are generally in a metabolic storm. Big time category 5. They got a category 5 storm in their body. They're out of whack. Their thyroid's out of whack. They got autoimmune, leaky gut. They got too much estrogen, not enough progesterone. Add cortisol to the mix and add insulin resistance to the mix. They got all of it. You got to fix all of it. Okay. Hey, I got through all of them. Okay, so next, Meniere's, Thea. One more. Or maybe two. Thea's asking about Meniere's disease. I actually wrote a paper on Meniere's in 1974. Okay? And a middle ear problem. I usually saw fungus, insulin resistance. They had metabolic syndrome. Fix all of the above. Okay? And does salt play an important role in the disease? Well, salt plays an important role in everything. You're salty. Okay? You need salt. Salt doesn't cause problems. It solves problems. I was always against that. When people said, don't use salt. Why? Salt's good for you. You're made up of salt. You're like the ocean. Salt water. Okay. And wait a minute here. One more. Bev, can carotid arteries, your carotid arteries, right? Can it be reversed? I've seen it. I've seen it. But it's not easy. Depending on what percent is blocked in the carotid arteries can be very dangerous. And I used to like chelation to, EDTA to take the blood vessels, open them up. Okay, guys, we love you dearly and sincerely. We'll talk to you soon.